Hello, I'm gonna be talking about how to use my program, the synth, just to walk you through how it works. So you just gotta boot up the program like that. Then it has 5 slots, and in these 5 slots you can have one image each. Whoop, that's still on. You can have one image each in all the 5 slots, and so that means you can have up to 5 sounds being played at the same time to make one like little symphony thing. And as well as the slot inputs with each image you can input descriptions that will affect the sound. So the way this works is it reads an image from file name. So let's just make this dex 15 west 5, right? And then it takes this image and it turns it into a JIT matrix. This means it turns into it has now is formulated of a Excel sheet thing that has all the data of each pixel that can be manipulated. I take this and I downsize it to a 9 by 16 image because it's easier to work with and it just makes more sense to me. So I send this off, get turned into that. It then gets split into different planes. This is all the red art. This is RGB. This is hue, saturation, and lightness. I split it all up so I can use these later to choose the characteristics of the sound. I have this piece of code that when I press this submit button, this piece of code goes through 2 loops that selects each item in all of these matrices and then pushes them out into these gets the sum of them all. Then it gets the average, so I have an average red, green, and blue value. I have an average hue, average saturation, and average lightness. Now, here, I then ignore this bit for now, but I then take these values, I take the red, green, and blue value, and I add them together to get their own value. And using this value and the lightness, I create a frequency and amplitude. Using the hue and saturation, I create another frequency and amplitude. I feed these to one of these, and this has 5 waveformers: a harmonics waveformer, a triangle, a sine, a saw, and a rectangle. The pitch and the frequency and amplitude developed by the red, green, and blue and lightness goes to harmonic, triangle, and sine table, whereas hue and saturation goes to saw and rectangle. Wait, am I recording this? Yeah. What this stuff is over here is a gate that is controlled by this thing, so it's just telling which slot to make changes to. So that means I can affect each one of those. And these are little gain sliders that, if I turn the sound on, these control the gain. Now to control those, I have each color, each characteristic is linked directly to the gain sliders, which means that not only are these characteristics affecting the frequency and amplitude, they're also affecting the gain. So it means there's more variation in the sound. Now this is also where the descriptions come in. So if I go back up to the buttons, depending on what you choose here, so let's say I've these split into negative and positive categories. It's like makes me feel happy is positive, is broken is negative, and is boring is negative. So let's say I choose those. This sends a message over here, and it counts how many positive and how many negative ones you have, and gets a value for each of them. Positive is smaller because it has a greater effect. And these are applied over here to these color values. And then, so these positive and negative values affect the gain. The negative ones make the saw and rectangle louder, and the other and the sine, harmonics, and triangles quieter, whereas the positive ones do the opposite. So it's like a ratio. This then creates a sound that comes out of these things. Now, what that means is I can do this up to 5 times in 5 different slots, so I can have 5 different sounds coming in each. Now if I want to add a new slot, I press this button to reset it, select the slot, read image, send image, and then I can choose my descriptors, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's make sure this isn't too loud, and I can submit, and it will have me a sound. I have some other controllers here. This can further modify the volume, and this can mute it, and this can unmute it. I have this here, which I didn't end up using too much, but I can set a name, so let's just say test.wav, and then I can start recording something. Well, I accidentally stopped it straight away, but it would output a sound file, even though right now I've been recording the screen and doing that, since that's just easier for me to work with. Yeah, I'll show you how it actually works. Let's see. If I reset this, I'm just gonna quickly modify the timer here and make it so it does it, let's say 100. So that's now once every 100 milliseconds. So let's reset, send this image, and you'll see it go through these. It finds all of these values. Here it is adding them up, and it will have a average here. These get sent down through these processing units, through the gates, and down to the correct sound. That's how my program works.